G'day MMA gods, it's me again, Dougie. And I don't know what I did to upset you so much last time, MMA gods. I don't know what I said that made you think you had to crumble Robert Whittaker's teeth into powder in his own mouth. Maybe you've been too angry at me, MMA gods. Too angry at me because I'm drawing attention away from the UFC and towards ONE FC. And that's why you, Dana, the leader of the MMA gods, decided to turn on me so harshly when it came to Robert Whittaker. But that doesn't matter anymore, MMA gods, because this weekend, it's Jon Jones. Jon Jones, someone who is clearly and obviously the most despicable human being and athlete that has ever been in our sport. And we've had murderers in this sport. He's the worst one to ever enter our octagon. Someone who is so disingenuous with the fans, always pretending to be a man of God, who's lied, cheated, destroyed the legacy of other people, Daniel Cormier, right? Hurt those around him, his wife, hurt members of the general public, hurt the bloody company with cancelling fights and having events moved. There literally couldn't be a worse person involved in our sport if you had to craft one from nothing. And that kind of person, MMA gods, is going against Stipe Miocic, a classic American hero, a godly man whose family immigrated here from Eastern Europe, who's raised a small American family of his own. He works hard. He doesn't chase fame. He helps the community. He puts in a solid 9 to 5 down at the firehouse. He doesn't talk trash. He's been knocked out and come back through adversity and gotten a win in a war with Daniel Cormier. MMA gods, that man is going in there one last time to throw down against a so-called GOAT of the sport. A GOAT of the sport who lost his last fight in his last division against Dominic Reyes and ran away from the challenge of a rematch. A GOAT of the sport who couldn't even take Chael Sonnen on short notice. MMA gods, he's a GOAT of the sport who's been accused and found guilty of multiple drug accusations many times. It was such a clean athlete that he had to hide under an octagon for like 8 hours to avoid USADA. And that's not the only time he's tried to have an altercation with USADA. These are the kind of GOAT that people are going with, MMA gods. A GOAT of the sport that won't even consider fighting his own interim champion, because apparently knocking out most of the top 10 of these division in under 6 minutes or something of combined fight time and defending an interim title, apparently that's not enough work to fight a reigning champion? MMA gods, this is their GOAT. This is their GOAT. And why? I don't understand it. Why? Because he looks like them? It doesn't make sense. Even when they have another option, someone who has fought across multiple companies over the entire world in different weight classes, in different combat sports, who has tried themselves in mixed rules events, who's constantly pushed themselves against young, up-and-coming competition. When Mighty Mouse is a clear contender to be a GOAT of the sport, some people, MMA gods, they still choose Jon Jones. Make it make sense. He has an evil soul, MMA gods. An evil soul. And if you, the gods, are real, if this universe has any faith or alignment with the karmic powers that rule us all, if good does defeat evil, MMA gods, then surely you must grant Stipe Miocic with the greatest power we have seen. Time heals all wounds. That's the greatest power. And Stipe, he's had nothing but time. Stipe hasn't been injured, MMA gods. He hasn't been drinking. He hasn't been partying. He's been avoiding fights. He's been going to work. He's getting it done. He's been doing the training, focused on just this fight. You don't hear Stipe calling for the light heavyweight champion or ducking this fighter or that fighter or going to the PFL and pretending like he's got the balls to step up to Francis. Stipe just clearly says, oh. I think he says, I just want to fight Jon Jones. I think that's what he's saying, MMA gods. But he's been locked in, ready to go. One target in his crosshairs. And surely you, the MMA gods, can grant him with just enough healing capabilities of time to be able to stand with Jon Jones and absorb those pillow punches from the GOAT. A GOAT. A man who hasn't had a knockdown since 2012 or something like that. So let Stipe handle those pillows that come at him and provide him with enough energy and strength to be able to withstand that double leg that Jon Jones shoots out of nowhere that we can all see coming from across the octagon, the telegraphed knockdown that fighters have been able to avoid for years now. Let him be able to handle that double leg and just throw him off. Stand there out in the open. So you have provided Stipe with the strength to be able to shuck that off. And then when Jones is in the middle of the cage with a rangy boxer that he can't take down, give him PTSD flashbacks of Gustafsson and Reyes and let him know that one more time he's in trouble now. And then let Stipe start to land those body shots that he did on DC. The uppercuts, the hooks. Let old man Stipe get into it. Land him and drown him with that accumulative damage. And Jon Jones falls to a knee and Stipe just starts beating the living piss out of him again and again out of that goddamn smug face of Jon Jones. And Mark Goddard has to run over and yell, it's over, it's over. And Stipe just shucks him off. Then everyone in the crowd starts cheering and Dana White grabs Hunter Campbell by the shoulder and they jump the cage with a couple of MSG security guards. And Stipe looks over his shoulder and sees Dana White and remembers how much he hates him because of the disrespect with that bullshit that Dana pulled with Brock Lesnar. And Stipe just turns around and fucking decks Dana White and sees Hunter Campbell, headbutts him, and blood pisses out everywhere. And Stipe, he sees the belt on the octagon, he picks it up, and it's covered in his blood and Dana's blood and Jon Jones's blood. And he walks out of the cage and just hands it to Aspinall and says, it's yours now. And Stipe, to a roaring arena, walks out as the speakers start to play There Goes My Hero by the Foo Fighters. Is this too much to ask, MMA gods? Is this not a reasonable request from an MMA fan that's been through enough of this Jon Jones saga? Please, MMA gods, I ask you for this small and simple request in your name. Amen.